Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, premium build quality and Hyperimage Plus tech for better photos. Realme is back in the flagship game with the new GT7 Pro. This is the most premium Realme smartphone to launch in India, and also it is the most expensive to date. So, is this first phone with the brand new Qualcomm chip also the best premium Android smartphone? I'll tell you about it, but before that, please subscribe to this channel to keep up with the latest in tech. Alright, since this is the first smartphone with the new Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, let's talk about its raw performance. I began with Antutu where I was hoping to see that 3 million mark. But the GT7 Pro scored 2.62 million, which is still approximately 24% better than the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3's peak of 2.1 million. Although surprisingly, it scored a bit less with the performance-focused GT mode enabled. Also, enabling GT mode did reduce the battery life without adding much to the performance, so I suggest keeping it disabled. On Geekbench, the scores were impressive too. For GPU performance, the 3D Mark Wildlife Extreme Stress Test resulted in a peak score of 5893, which is lesser than the Dimensity 9400's best score. However, the stability rating of the GT7 Pro was quite impressive. Then, in a 30-minute BGMI gaming session at 90 FPS with smooth graphics, the phone showed no frame drops or overheating. It also ran smoothly at 40 FPS with Ultra HDR graphics. You also get frame rate interpolation, which artificially boosts the frame rate to up to 120 FPS, and it works quite well. Interestingly, while this phone did get quite hot during benchmark testing, it maintained respectable temperatures while gaming. So, thermal throttling should not be much of an issue while you're gaming. Now, moving on to the design, the GT7 Pro sports a fresh, bold look that I really like. The squarish camera island with its extended border and subtle copper accent gives a distinctive look to this smartphone. Then, this Galaxy Grey colorway has a brushed metal texture and a matte finish which looks great. But if you like bold and vibrant colors, then the available Mars Orange option could be the perfect one for you. Anyway, the premium feel of the metal frame and glass back gives this smartphone a top-notch in-hand experience. This smartphone also has a nice weighty feel to it, partly due to its high-quality construction and partly due to its big 5800 mAh battery. This is a silicon carbide battery with higher energy density than lithium-ion ones, allowing for either a smaller battery with the same capacity or a larger capacity in the same size. Therefore, the GT7 Pro stays decently slim at 8.55mm despite packing a big battery. But the Chinese unit of the GT7 Pro has a 6500 mAh battery. Realme says that this difference is because of regulatory issues here in India. Still, a downgrade of 700 mAh is kind of hard to miss. Despite that, 5800 mAh is still quite big by any standard. So, a 9-hour plus screen time with mixed use can easily be achieved on this smartphone. Plus, you still get that quick 120-watt fast charger in the box. It can fully charge its battery from 0 to 100 in around half an hour. However, wireless charging is not present here, and that is kind of an essential flagship feature that Realme should not have skipped. Alright, good looks and big battery aside, the GT7 Pro also gets added durability with an IP69 rating and Gorilla Glass 7 eye protection for its display. Then, it gets an ultrasonic in-display fingerprint scanner which worked quite well in my experience. Talking of display, it's a Samsung-made 6.78-inch LTPO OLED with a 120Hz refresh rate. It has a 120% DCI P3 color gamut coverage and delivers an astonishing peak brightness of 6500 nits when viewing HDR content. But in practical use, its 2000 nits brightness in high brightness mode still ensures it remains brilliantly visible even in direct sunlight. And in case you haven't already noticed, this display is not fully flat. It is micro-curved on all four edges. This is a trend that we are gonna see on a lot of Chinese flagship phones this year, and frankly, I am not a big fan of it. You see, traditional curved displays, despite being less practical, look super premium. On the other hand, fully flat displays prioritize practicality. These micro curves seem like an unnecessary addition which does not add much aesthetic or practical value to a smartphone. Anyway, coming to software, you get Realme UI 6 here with Android 15, which like always is quite feature-rich and works really well on this phone thanks to 16 GB of RAM on my test unit. Also, bloatware has been thankfully kept in check on this smartphone, but the annoying glance lock screen is still there. Realme has also enhanced this phone's software with powerful AI suite, particularly for photo editing. There is also a new Samsung-like draw-to-image AI generator, but it is limited to just 10 generations per day. However, most of these AI features will not work without an internet connection. I mean seriously, what is even the point of boasting about the latest and greatest chipset with powerful neural processors when all the processing is just being done online? Anyway, the Realme GT 7 Pro will get 3 OS updates and 4 years of security updates. Okay, Qualcomm is officially supporting the Snapdragon 8 Elite for 8 long years. So, Realme needs to really look into its software update policy if it wants to stay competitive in this market. Finally, let's talk about those cameras. The GT 7 Pro packs 3 lenses at the back, a 50 megapixel main, a 50 megapixel 3x telephoto and an 8 megapixel ultra-wide. The camera performance is a mixed bag. I really like how images from all sensors remain color matched with true to life colors. I also found the photos taken by the main camera to be quite impressive with a good amount of detail and dynamic range. Nighttime photos are fine but not quite flagship grade because of muted shadows. Videos from the main sensor are not very impressive since the 4K 60fps footage is not stable enough, while 4K 30fps clips have a lot of noise. You can shoot 8K 24fps footage from this camera too, but I will not recommend it. The 50 megapixel telephoto camera takes great portraits with nice bokeh drop-off and accurate edge detection. Portraits come great only if there is ample light. The telephoto does not function in low light, which is typically a mid-range smartphone behavior. So I really hope Realme fixes that with the software update. It also occasionally struggles with focusing on the subject. The ultra-wide is pretty good by 8 megapixel camera standards as long as you give it enough light. The 16 megapixel front camera does a fine job by producing accurate skin tones and good dynamic range. And there you have it, the Realme GT 7 Pro. It strikes a fine balance between performance, display quality, battery life and design, making it an excellent choice for those who want a powerful smartphone without breaking the bank. But if you are specifically looking for a camera phone, you may want to look elsewhere. You see, its cameras, while solid, don't quite reach flagship levels. Still, Realme has crafted a surprisingly premium package with the GT 7 Pro, making a strong comeback in the flagship category.